Can you think of or name one business model that's kind of unconventional, crazy business model that worked really well online?
Worked really well online. So it's an interesting one. So I could talk about the survey business. I could talk about something that we did that didn't work. It was a really interesting experiment. So fluid surveys, online survey tool, that sort of thing. So when you think of this, we were reading on forums and things. We were trying to come up with pricing, and obviously we have a lot of competitors, and we have our differentiators and that sort of thing. But we thought, all right, instead of just focusing on features, where people, we have these features and they don't. We thought, let's innovate from a business perspective as well. And we read on a lot of forums that one of the things that people really wanted to do was basically have one-time surveys. And what a one-time survey means is, okay, I'll pay you a fee, and instead of a monthly fee for every month that I use your service to either distribute surveys, create them, or analyze them, instead of paying you that monthly fee, I'll just pay you a one-time fee, and then you just let me have the survey forever, right? And we thought that that's a brilliant idea, and that if we launch that, we can steal all sorts of customers from all our major competitors, because why would they want to pay a monthly fee? They should just switch to us and pay that one-time fee, and then that's that. And so we call this one-time surveys. So we built in the feature, and we came up with this idea where you could get a survey for just $40, and once you get this thing, then you can basically launch your survey for as long as you want. So it was pretty radical in the sense that no one else was doing it, which was very odd too. And so what we did is we launched this thing. We did a press release, and we search engine optimized it. So if you search for one-time surveys, we'd be the first one to show up. And we were getting traffic, and people were signing up, and we were getting all these sales, and our sales did increase, and we were like, wow, this is awesome. It's working, and we're going to be rich. But then what happened was a lot of our customers who'd been very loyal and paying us monthly fees and that sort of thing realized, well, I do more than one survey, but realistically, I only run 3 surveys at any one point in time. So if I paid you 3 times $40, then I can have surveys forever. I would never have to pay you again, but I can continue to ask you for customer support. And, I'm going to move my job, and I'm going to have this new job in December. So my colleague is going to step in, and she doesn't know anything about the product. She's going to have to relearn everything and go through that same customer support process again. And so it was this huge nightmare that happened. So we started losing customers that have been paying us even higher than $20 a month. So we have our Ultra plan, which is at $59 a month. So they were paying that, and they would cancel that and go with these lower plans. So we were killing ourselves, but also the big rush of customers that we were expecting to get from all these other places didn't happen either. And so we just named it as pretty big failure, and we just moved away from it. And then we realized that this is probably why a lot of those other customers or a lot of our competitors that are a lot bigger didn't go through this sort of a model, because the whole concept of earning a monthly revenue, there's a lot of great things to be said about that. Now, one of the disadvantages that we have in the survey industry is that most people actually do projects that are on a monthly basis. So you'll do a survey, you need to do this one thing, maybe a client satisfaction survey, some sort of study, and you want to do this for 3 months, and then that's it. You don't want to go past that because that's the only thing you need to do. So naturally, you sign up, pay for 3 months, and then you cancel when you're out. No cancellation fees or things like that. This is really, it's still the SaaS model, but it kind of sucks. Like, it's a pretty crappy SaaS model in the sense that if your company signs up for a CRM company, a Salesforce, or a Basecamp, once you start paying them, this is core to your business, so you're never going to go away. Unless those guys do something to really piss you off or something drastically changes in your business, you're going to continue to pay them that same amount of money month to month. And naturally, if you're doing a good job, your revenues every month should be higher, and so on and so forth. And you won't see spikes and things like that. But for us, there's some seasonality involved, because a lot of people do surveys, in these months, and then they'll stop, and then they'll continue again. And so there's a lot of factor in that. And the problem with that is during that time, so let's say someone uses you for 3 months and then they stop using you, and then someone says, hey, you should also check out this other company as well, and then maybe they'll go check out that other company, and that other company has a sale going on or something, and they'll just jump ship. And so there are a lot of problems associated with it, but there are solutions. So one of the things that you'll probably notice a lot is companies that kind of are in the same spot as we are trying to really push their annual plan. So they'll say, oh, but if you sign up for a year, we'll give you 2 months for free. Or we'll throw in these extra add-ons. Or if you sign up for the yearly plan, you'll get unlimited responses, whereas the monthly plans, you get only a certain number of responses. And so the yearly plans are really what people try and push, because these customers are in it for the long haul, and they're the type of customers that you would want to get. And a lot of companies are, at least in our space, are trying to move away from even showing people very obviously where the monthly plan is. They really have to look for it. So that's another thing we learned along the lines that yearly customers are worth so much more. And the other thing that we learned on top of that was that a lot of what you do, conversions on the web, have to do with terminology. Like just changing words here and there make a huge difference. Now, one of the things is I know that we're targeting a lot of, I guess, people in the Middle East. And one of the things to keep in mind is, I mean, not just for the Middle East, but every country refers to things differently. So if you ask for someone, even if they're searching for English, they just searching for things in English, the terms that they will use will be very different. And it's funny because it'll actually be different from country to country. So one of the best ways to figure out what people actually search for from country to country and what to optimize your ads towards. Now, this is sort of a trick that we learned along the way is when we're doing our Google AdWords campaigns, we actually do different campaigns in different countries because different keywords mean different things. So you'll be really surprised, like you might try in Egypt or something, and in Egypt, for some reason, this keyword is amazing. Like it converts so well. But then you try the same thing in, let's say, Jordan, and that same keyword is really crappy, like it's just not doing the job. And there's subtle differences, not necessarily if they're in Arabic or something else, but also if they're in, even if they are in English. And so we noticed that those same differences in Canada versus, and so we're located in Canada right now, so Canada versus Europe, it's still very different because people just refer to things. And you really want to figure that out before you spend a lot of money trying to search engine optimize and rank for those keywords. So Google AdWords is a really cheap way for you to go out and say, all right, these keywords work really well in these countries, and then it's a lot easier for you. So let's say that you get a specific top-level domain that's targeted towards Jordan, you're going to get a lot more traffic, and you don't have to dilute your focus. You can just focus on those keywords and ranking well within that country. And so that's another thing. So if you're in Jordan, you really want to try your very best, if possible, to keep your servers in Jordan if you're targeting that market. And the reason for that is there are two things Google really cares about. One is your top-level domain. So if you're in Canada.ca, for example, but the other thing is the location of your servers. So if your servers are located in Jordan, more traffic, you will have a higher weighting for when people are searching for survey software. So it's really strange. You can go from country to country and search for the same terms, and even if you're searching in English, you're going to get different results based on whatever servers are close by. And that's something really important to consider because it really, if you're targeting a specific audience, you want to do your best to get all that traffic, and so you have a big advantage in comparison to other companies who aren't doing the same. I mean, the web is just so much about experimentation. Another thing that we realized, one other thing that we tried that really failed, and it's okay to have failures because just as long as you're testing and you have your metrics, if you don't have metrics, you're kind of screwed on the web. So you want to have as much, in metrics as you want. There are a lot of really cool services to use. One of the ones that we use all the time is Kissmetrics. And what's really cool about it is Kissmetrics is all about the person and the visitor rather than a session. So let me explain what I mean by that. So let's say that you come in and you search for online survey software, okay? And the first thing that you click on is an ad for fluid surveys. So you click on that ad, you check out the site, you're like, yeah, it's okay, it's not bad, it's pretty cool. And then you just close your browser. And then tomorrow you remember the name fluid surveys, and you want to do a little bit more research because now you have more time. So you search for fluid surveys, but this time you click on the organic link from Google. So not the ad, but the organic link. Right. You click on that, and once you click on that, then you go in and you sign up. But the problem is, now when you go to Google Analytics, it's going to say that the reason that this person signed up is because they clicked on an ad in Google, they clicked on your organic listing. Whereas in reality, it actually came from that ad, and that was the impetus. So what Kissmetrics allows you to do is something even more fancy than that. So it'll track on a person-to-person basis, oh, they came from a Google ad, then they clicked on an organic listing, and then they went away, and then they clicked on one of your banner ads that showed up on dig.com, and then they came back. And so you can really figure these things out, and this sort of stuff's really powerful. And one of the things that we realized in this whole process was another experiment that we ran that failed miserably, but I mean we learned a lot from, was we have different pricing tiers, right? So we have the Pro plan at $19 a month and the Ultra plan at $59 a month, and then there's the enterprise stuff. But so we thought, all right, well, we're fluid surveys, and so maybe we should theme and brand ourselves because we want to establish a brand so people identify with us, and so we're different. And so we created something called, we decided to name our plans sort of match the fluid surveys branding. And so we called those the Atlantic plan and also the Pacific plan. So the Atlantic Ocean is a lot smaller than the Pacific Ocean, and so the Ultra plan, which was a more fancy plan, was the Pacific, and the other one was the Atlantic. And the reason we named it that way is because, again, like the Pacific is almost twice the size of the Atlantic. But the problem with that was that, and what we realized very quickly is that no one actually knew that the Pacific was a lot larger than the Atlantic. So what ended up happening is that we had someone from New York call in and say, I really like your software, it's so cool, but I don't understand, I'm in New York, and so why can't I sign up for the Pacific plan? I mean, why does location matter? And we're like, are you serious? I mean, and it was the most ridiculous thing ever, but it turns out that, different people perceive things in different lights, and just because everyone at your company thinks that your customers are going to be able to understand something very quickly, it doesn't mean that the web really works that way, and that's why it's always constant experimentation and not just sticking with the status quo. You should always be A/B testing your most important pages, always be trying to increasing your optimization and things like that. And the reason for that is that, one little change, and we've seen this so many times, can actually double your sign-up rate, which means it doubles your revenue. And you don't have to double your staff. I mean, just like a small thing like that. And so experimentation, different countries, different cultures, and constantly switching things up so that you learn more from the process makes a huge difference.